What does a safe space look like? Picture a place where you would feel the most calm. I don't know the last time I've been safe. I don't know the last time I felt calm.
I don't think someone like Megan Thee Stallion needs much introduction. Three times Grammy winner, three number one songs in the Billboard Hot 100 list holding, fighting with speed for the title of Most Beloved Black American in East Asia, as far as we know. Her name is intercontinentally associated with success. Yet, you never scroll too far before finding someone calling her some variation of promiscuous, alcoholic, or plain old conflictive. To understand the persistent online hate campaign against Megan Thee Stallion and its consequences, we will explore the patterns, people, and effects of this hatred. Houston native Megan Pete started gaining attention by posting rap videos under the name Megan Thee Stallion. She signed with 1501 Certified Entertainment in early 2018 and dropped her mixtape Tina Snow in June 2018. It is easy to pinpoint the moment in Megan's career when a significant part of the public sentiment turned aggressively negative, and don't worry, we'll get to that. However, to start talking about the hatred against Miss Stallion from that incident would be to negate a narrative that was already brewing.
And I'm just ready for everybody to eat their motherfucking words, and everybody gonna have to eat my motherfucking ass, actually, because that's all everybody gonna see. I'm gonna stay with my back turned to motherfuckers. Bitch, ass gonna stay spread. Every, bitch, I'm gonna stay bent over.
Part of the hot girl coach persona, as Megan is often referred to, is her open sexuality. Within rap, the topic of sex has always been a popular one. However, the freedom to freely express oneself about it, especially when it comes to casual encounters, was mostly expected from men. So much so that in the 90s, when we saw a boom in female sexual rappers like Lil Kim and Foxy Brown, the mere fact of their gender made them novelties. Scholars argue that sexism within gangsta rap is a technique used to assert male dominance. Urban slang refers to a bee as a woman with attitude. Hoes are defined as women who are sexually promiscuous with the sole purpose of sexually pleasing men, while gold diggers are regarded as women who use men for their money, wrote Day Sharp in 2019. While female rap has become more welcoming and celebratory of explicit sexuality in music, it is within this culture that Megan's sexually liberated persona exists. Early and continuous criticism of Megan Thee Stallion has always included her apparent active sex life, with lyrics like "main N-word getting super jealous, he don't even know about the other fellas," giving her detractors ammunition, which would be often used as the following events occurred.
A jury trial is scheduled to begin today for rapper Tory Lanez. He is accused of shooting Megan Thee Stallion.
On July 12, 2020, Megan was leaving Kylie Jenner's house in the Hollywood Hills accompanied by Canadian rapper Tory Lanez, Megan's longtime friend Kelsey Nicole, and Tory's driver Jaquan Smith. Outlets claim Megan hurt her foot by stepping on broken glass and had an encounter with the police. It wouldn't be until the 15th that the story was clarified. Megan wrote in an Instagram post, "On Sunday morning, I suffered gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against me and done with the intention to physically harm me." While she did not clarify who was to blame for her injuries, the options were slim, letting netizens to speculate. In an Instagram Live on the 20th, Megan named Tory as the shooter after he spent days online repeating that he was not. At the time, he was already the prime suspect due to his arrest for concealing a weapon. This revelation caused the birth of a new narrative, Megan the Liar. Throughout the whole process, Tory's fanbase grew tremendously, and the extent of Megan's lies, according to them, changed rapidly. First, they said that she was not shot, she was actually making it up for attention and jealousy, as it was believed that Kelsey had been in a relationship of some sort with Tory, and Megan had also gotten involved with the Canadian rapper. Then, and only after she posted pictures of her wounds, they said that she was shot, but she was claiming it was Tory to protect her friend, or, depending on who says it, because she was jealous and wanted to make him suffer. Eventually, the thesis they were trying to prove was less about how or by who Megan was harmed and became, she's a liar, so she wasn't hurt. And if she was, it's not that serious. And if it is, you shouldn't care anyway, because she's a liar and probably a hoe. The validity of this thesis was hailed every time she stepped out and did not look hurt or traumatized enough. Also, in any situation where she recounted what occurred without mentioning details that would come out later, or denied something, particularly her past relationship with Lanes, which she says denied for as long as she could in fear of feeding the promiscuous allegations used to justify his actions. These omissions or denials encourage her detractors in their efforts to question the validity of her story, her trauma, and her right to compassion.
I just keep getting lit, thinking I'm gonna get through this pain.
Going back to 2019, Megan got her second boom into the mainstream with Hot Girl Summer, a collaboration with Ty Dolla $ign and Nicki Minaj. For a long time, Minaj was the only woman in the rap game. Slowly but surely, and to various degrees of success, other women started taking up space in the rap scene throughout the 2010s. Collaborating with veterans gave Megan legitimacy, and the song was a hit, becoming part of her brand until this day. Megan maintained a public relationship of cordiality and varying degrees of closeness with Nicki up until August 7, 2020, almost exactly a month after the shooting incident, barely a few weeks after naming Tory as her attacker, and a couple days after Variety released an article where Nicki praised the Houston rapper. Megan dropped her collaboration with Cardi B. The song, WAP, broke several records and became the topic of multiple bizarre discussions due to its explicit subject. While some were offended by WAP because they could not relate to the lyrics, Nicki Minaj found problems with the fact that a girl who, as she saw it, blew up thanks to her lending her credibility was now taking all that social capital to succeed, and I cannot overstate how successful it was, along with her enemy, as Nicki and Cardi have been at odds for years. It is widely reported that the Nicki Megan situation started in 2024 after the release of His, and we'll get there. However, the truth is that the mutual interaction stopped right after WAP. Since then, Nicki has collaborated with multiple other young female rappers, and for those paying attention, it was clear Minaj was not all the way happy with the stallion, as she has occasionally seemed to egg on when someone was shading Meg. However, Nicki did praise Megan in a 2020 interview with Variety. One of my favorite things about Meg is her desire to further her education. It is so important for women to feel inspired to achieve goals outside of social media, where the focus is usually placed on their bodies or who they're dating, she said. But some fans believe that the lines, "This beast time TikToking, better stick to dancing," "This beast thirsty, I can see why they alcoholics," in 2021 Seeing Green are about Megan, the latter of which was quasi-confirmed with the allegations she made later. There's also horseback riding, "I'd be like giddy up, I don't have to beg for sympathy from the media" in 2022's Super Freaky Girl, 700 on the horses when I'm fixing to leave, but I don't F with horses since Christopher Reeves in 2023's Red Ruby Das Liz. Although, of course, all would blow up in January 2024 with the release of His. The song was Megan's first single for her then upcoming album Megan. In the lyrics, the Houston rapper addresses this is multiple people who have said or done something perceived as a slight. The line, "These hoes don't be mad at Megan, these hoes mad at Megan's law," which refers to the US law that requires offenders to register in a public list, seemed to offend Nicki as her husband is, well, registered on that list. It is noteworthy that many fans believe this line was meant for someone else, namely Drake. What followed was a series of tweets and lives full of insults, accusations. They built off things already mentioned, like the line and promiscuity, as well as bringing up Megan's deceased family members and apparently her being tall. All of this context to say that among the claims Nicki made, she said Megan is an alcoholic, going as far as to say that during their Hot Girl Summer promo, the stallion tried to make her drink, knowing she was pregnant, essentially trying to cause her to miscarriage. Fans have pulled out multiple clips from the Instagram Live that the two participated in at the time to prove the truth or falsehood of these claims. Megan herself has admitted to drinking heavily around this time, following her mother's death. The allegations regarding Nicki's pregnancy, however, have stayed up in the air. Megan Thee Stallion stands at 5'10", with curves in all the places rap culture has praised for decades. although her figure has been on display for years since her YouTube videos. After some weight loss, detractors have taken to calling her surgerized. They also have accused her of using Ozempic or another semaglutide, which is not surgery, but this is the only category I could place this in. Megan has chronicled and monetized her fitness journey, which is response enough. The other surgery accusations have to do with her nose, with this picture in particular being used often. However, if we go for even older photos, when Megan was younger and a similar weight to the one she holds now, her nose looks smaller.
I remember the first day we put her first video on YouTube. From day one, I knew she was gonna be a star.
Part of why I gave all that context in the first two categories is because when all else fails, detractors bring up the broken relationships in Megan's life to signify she must be some kind of terrible conflictive person. Along with Nikki and Tori, Megan has cut ties with former best friend Kelsey, her ex-stylist EJ King during the Tori versus the state of California process, and other collaborators. When dealing with a figure like Megan Thee Stallion, an easy group to rally against her is the conservative crowd. They're probably the least passionate in the grand scheme of things, as the original reason for their rejection of her is this performance of sexual autonomy, but historically they're quick to ally themselves against women with similar personas. So just know that in every group of people I mention from here on out, they're also included. Tory and male solidarity. In case you only came to know Tory Lanez through Megan Thee Stallion, it might be difficult to understand the spot he occupied in pop culture. Throughout the trial, massive figures with enormous influence supported the Canadian rapper, which could lead one to believe that he was comparable in success to her before the incident. While it is tempting to accuse Lanez of being irrelevant due to his numbers now, he was having a great year before he decided to attack the stallion. His mixtape Chick Step 5, which contained multiple collaborations with nostalgic acts like Ashanti and Snoop Dogg, was the peak of his success in November 2019. He followed up with the new Toronto 3 in 2020, earning 64,000 sales, and then Quarantine Radio, an Instagram live show where he played music and invited people to demonstrate their talents. Actually, the most nostalgic clips that I could find for Tory supporters seem to be the ones of girls twerking. And while Lance was growing, he had not become mainstream. Megan had less sales in her AP 2020 Sugar, but she captured the attention of people through multiple mediums, especially with the song Savage, which was popularized on TikTok. In case you care, Chicks Tape 5 now has accumulated around 500,000 sales, while Sugar has 1 million. It would make sense then that a large portion of the Meghan haters are also Tory fans, and they seem to be. They are not, however, Tory listeners, with his follow-up projects seeing a steady decline since then. 45,000 for Daystar September 2020, 17,700 for Alone at Prom December 2021. Sorry for What saw a slight increase in sales thanks to it releasing a couple months before the trial, along with its unabashed mockery of the situation, earning 24,000 sales in its first week, but still nothing close to its success previous to the incident. It is not difficult to scroll through Tory support accounts and find fans who never mentioned him before 2020 or even before 2022 in the trial. More importantly, who only mention him in relation to the trial. If not the music, then what could move someone to call a musician their GOAT? To figure this out, we are to look at other characteristics that unite Tory Lanez's supporters. The first and most identifiable thing is the race. The audience is mostly black, which is to be expected since both artists are black and rappers, a genre that's more popular within black communities than with any other racial demographic. Through a randomized selection of 50 profiles that show up through the search of Free Tory on Twitter, we found that 16 are women, 21 were men, and 13 were identifiable from their profile. Also, and just to confirm, 92% made no comment on Tory related to his music, persona, shows, or anything else before the shooting incident. In her 2024 song, Otaku Hot Girl, Megan Thee Stallion says, "Be they no pro you, they anti me," which seems to be the case. Along with regular people, Tory suddenly gained the attention of celebrating men, notably the baby. Not because of they shared the same size, but the baby was notable because he used to be a frequent collaborator of Megan's before this. Also, LeBron James, Drake, and many others who would use their huge platforms to spread the anti Megan narrative or simply state their support of Tory as he was going through the trial, accused of concealing a weapon and assault. These famous people, mostly men, did not really gain much from siding with Lanes, and after the trial ended, some of them quietly retired their Free Tory flag, and Shannon Sharpe even had to apologize. I believe the reason why public figures are shyer about this topic now is because, well, they can be sued. A court has declared Lanes as guilty. Question on that with only the voices in your phone and head to back them up is risky. But also, the only benefit these people could get out of supporting Tory was to strengthen solidarity amongst each other. A lot of people argue that because they are black men and the system is trying to keep them up, they need to protect them. And that is a partial truth. But to declare that the trial against Tory is the result of only racism denies that the victim is also a black woman. It is true that the judicial system has failed black people since its inception, but the rhetoric being spread here forgets that black women are equally affected. One might be tempted to deny its detrimental impact on their lives as they are thriving in many areas, but black women succeed against obstacles, not because of the lack of them. Tory offenders were also focused in proving that Meghan had an intimate relationship with him, and they did not consider how, if that's true, then it's added to the statistics that have already proven, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, that more than 40% of black women have experienced intimate partner physical violence. To defend them based on their relationship, they contribute to the idea that these victims, almost half of the black female population, deserve no protection or justice, all in the name of fighting anti black racism. The Barbs. The other recognizable group within Megan's haters is the Barbs, Nicki Minaj's loyal fan base. They cannot be lumped together with the Tory supporters, not only because her beef with Megan is not comparable, but also because they actually mobilize for Minaj. They seek to uphold her supremacy as queen of rap and establish that any new girl that tries to oppose her will be destroyed. Unlike with other rivals, the Barbs don't seem to be focused on Megan's rapping or writing, as the stallion has demonstrated in multiple situations her talent in that regard, resorting instead to critiques of the sort laid before, lying, surgeries, fake, alcoholic. When they tend to spread is that she's evil, conflicted, and a woman who seemingly wants others to have miscarriages because she wants them to be miserable is very confusing, but it is very constant. The hate campaign against Megan Thee Stallion picked up steam as she was ascending in her career. It would be tempting to assume that part of the astronomical success the Houston rapper has experienced was boosted by the controversy. However, the hits the stallion had accumulated before his were not directly related to it. In fact, if the interest in Megan's music was dependent on the shooting, her song Shots Fired, first song on her 2021 album Good News, would have done the same numbers WAP did, or at least Savage, which was a hit before the incident. It would also be unfair to say that her professional life was completely unaffected, however, not only because she has created multiple songs impacted by the topic, but because she lost long-time collaborator The Baby, who, again, not only supported Lanes, but brought him out during his Rolling Loud set, having him pass right beside Megan. On the other hand, Megan has slowly retired from social media, becoming less accessible to the public has given the haters less fodder for the smear campaign, and with more controlled appearances, we see more consistent, cleaner branding for Megan. It is impossible to know which opportunities, if any, Megan lost because of the incident, given her global success. However, the rapper has stated that the performance experience has become terrifying.
Ever since I've been shot, I started having anxiety about performing. I always think somebody gonna do something to me. I see so many guys online say you should have got shot in the head. Oh, you should have finished the job. Should have killed your ass. You always twerking, bitch. You deserve what you got.
You should have just aimed higher. You should have head tapped that. Bang.
I can't separate trolling from real life. Am I safe to perform in front of thousands of people? And I don't know who in this crowd.
After losing her mother and grandmother, one of Megan's closest people was Kelsey. With the incident, not only did the stallion lose her best friend, she also lost her ability to trust. She was rising professionally while being abandoned in her personal life.
Sometimes when I'm too happy, I'm like, all right, what's bad about to happen? And I want to stop being like that because I really want to be present in the good moments. Thank y'all so much. I don't want to like be expecting something bad to happen to me because I want to be able to realize good things can happen to me. I do deserve good things to happen to me. But I did not feel like that for a long time.
It is impossible to predict the future of Megan Thee Stallion and how her detractors might play into it. If the threat continues as it's going now, there will always be someone yelling at the top of their lungs about how she deserves the worst, but this won't stop her growth. With Tory Lanez convicted, less and less people with something to lose proclaim their support for him, while Megan's fan base continues to grow, engulfing her name and persona with positivity. It is possible that Megan will slow down, however. Most celebrities do at some point, but it is unlikely to be caused by detractors. And while it might be tempting to think that Megan came out of the hate stronger, and in some ways she might be armed with better tools to deal with attacks now, she was set up to be successful regardless. There's no silver lining to being berated, accused, and harmed the way she has been. She thrives despite the obstacles, and does so tremendously.